What shocked me the most is how long people in Utah have been talking about this. I thought it was some folk legend that cropped up in the 60s or 70s and just kind of made its way to now. But no, it's like most of the people that were talking about it in the mid to late 19th century, they were dead serious about what they were seeing. The Bear Lake Monster is one of Utah's oldest cryptozoological stories, like one of those cool folklore tales that we've had pretty much since the beginning. I would say it's probably one of the most popular legends in the area, and you ask almost anyone who's lived in Cache Valley long enough, have you ever seen the Bear Lake Monster? And usually the answer is no, but they almost always know someone who has, which is about how, folk tales and legends go.
Bear Lake is a large body of water that straddles the eastern side of the Utah-Idaho state line and covers 109 square miles when the lake is full.
The easiest way to describe it is it looks like the Loch Ness Monster, some sort of large, either aquatic or amphibious beast that plagues the people of Bear Lake. Some of the first sightings that are officially documented of the Bear Lake Monster come from 1868. There was a man named Joseph Rich who writes a few letters to some newspapers in Salt Lake and otherwise, and to the leaders of the church, Brigham Young at the time. They usually report that the beast comes up out of the water and often steals cattle or harms or mutilates their animals, and that it's a big problem. They don't want to go near the water, they don't want to fish in the water. Brigham Young and a few of the other brethren send up an expedition to learn more about the monster. To quote them, they see a large undulating beast under the water, about 30 feet in length or so, that's visible. It's kind of a vague, kind of pale white color. Others report seeing several coils, like the trademark, like the iconic coils that you would see like with the Loch Ness Monster. In the Deseret News, after returning from their expedition, they claim that there's probably more than one. There aren't really a lot of artifacts, but there are a lot of legends about efforts that were made to try and deal with this problem. Various legends report that they did procure a rope, and they fixed to it like a really large barbed hook, and they put like the leg of a lamb on there to try and grab the beast. And some legends say that the Bear Lake Monster did eat the barbed hook, but the beast was smart enough that it chewed through the rope or something, and they weren't able to capture it that way.
It wasn't until the early 20th century that the next major sighting was reported in the history of this urban legend.
In 1907, there was a gentleman, his name was T.R. Mooney. As he reports, he and his partner were camping by the side of the lake with their horses not far from their farm. They're sitting by the fire, and they notice something out in the water quite a ways. And as this thing starts approaching closer and closer, it's bobbing up and down below the surface. They see, as they report, a large creature, massive, come up out of the water, and it roars. To quote them, they grab their .30 rifles and they begin firing at it, but they said that it had no effect. It takes a large swipe at one of their horses, killing it. It goes back into the water, or drags the horse back into the water, and they ran. They wrote a letter to a newspaper in Cache Valley called the Logan Republican. When you look at the newspaper headline, huge bold print on the front page, they say that the Leviathan comes out of the water. Like they weren't mincing words about what they saw. They were explicit in saying, we know what we saw. It was this large beast, and they were terrified. And it really caused a stir in Cache Valley and then beyond. And then days later, other people started writing in, corroborating their specific story and the validity of their claims, talking about their character, saying that they are to be believed. And then other stories start flooding in, and that's kind of one of the major markers of like the birth of the legends, people seeing it and describing it the same way.
The most recent reported sighting is from the early 2000s, when a man from Wyoming reported seeing the Bear Lake Monster. But those that believe in the urban legend have an explanation for why fewer sightings have been reported in recent history.
Most of the legends begin the same way. They usually say, everyone knows that there is no bottom to the Bear Lake, or everyone knows that there are tunnels beneath Bear Lake. And so what they allege is that the Bear Lake Monster uses these tunnels to travel to different locations, different bodies of water. Underneath of the Bear Lake, there's a large quartz deposit. And underneath of Loch Ness, there's also a large quartz deposit. And so some people say that the Bear Lake Monster and the Loch Ness Monster aren't two separate creatures, but are in fact the same beast, traveling back and forth, somehow using the quartz as like a portal or a means of transportation. Other people say that the reason we don't see the Bear Lake Monster as often anymore is because a lot of those early trapping methods worked.
But with so much mystery surrounding the Bear Lake Monster, why does the myth continue? And why do so many people believe in urban legends at all?
Everyone loves a good story. Looking at it from a folklore perspective, or from even like a historian's perspective, most of the time we don't care about proving the validity of these claims. We mostly just find them fun. To feel that mystery, the wonder, is there something down there?